I'd like to use this video to show you some of the things I've modeled and printed that help me on a daily basis with making content for this channel. These are prints that you usually wouldn't see as part of the normal content, so it's kind of a behind the scenes if I may. Maybe you'll find some of the models inspirational for your own endeavors, or maybe not. Either way, I hope you enjoy it. A side note, I was recording this video and noticed that my GoPro battery was swollen and stuck inside the housing. I pulled on the battery tab so hard it only ripped it off from the battery itself. With no other option, since the GoPro can't really be disassembled, the only thing I could do was drill. I knew this was a bad idea when smoke started coming out. Just kidding. Everything's okay. I was able to get the screw into the battery far enough to pull on it with some pliers. I think I dodged a bullet there, escaping only with some burn marks inside the housing and now just down one battery. Let's get into the first model I made as a helping hand. It's an adapter to the GoPro mount for my phone. I modeled it in two pieces with a tapered pin that just presses into place. I used a pin similar to this in all of the tensegrity model, and it worked out really well. I'm just going to send both of these parts to the printer and get them done in one go. Well, maybe two goes. That's better. The prints for this one came up fairly well and everything is looking promising. I just press the tapered pin in the bottom of the clamp and apply some pressure and it locks together. I can now use my cell phone with any GoPro bracket. Here I've chosen my favorite, the Shorty tripod. When I mounted it, I realized that the tapered pin wasn't holding the way I thought it would. I was constantly needing to re-secure it. But when it worked well. The clamp held firmly onto my phone and I was able to use it as intended. I'd call this a win for the first go round. I absolutely wouldn't use it in anything other than a stationary setting since the pin connection didn't work out how I thought it would. This is nothing that superglue can't fix in the long run though. Off to version 2 I guess. This one is pretty much the same thing, a GoPro to cell phone adapter. But it's really special, it now has 3 pieces. I included a knob and a different piece to bring the phone and GoPro mount together. I guess now it becomes a hybrid too since I'm using more than just 3D printing. By adding the metal screws I can ensure durability in the long run. The screw I used here is an M5 by 25mm long hex head to maintain compatibility with the GoPro accessories. Has anybody ever heard of McMaster Carr, by the way? If you haven't, go ahead and check them out. I'm not sponsored, it's just the best user interface around. Tons of 3D models are readily available for your hybrid prints. Check it out, you can barely tell the difference, right? Well, the idea wasn't to copy exactly, just to make something compatible that worked to solve a problem. Let's get this thing together and see how it works. And here's the other end of the screw knob, just a regular M5 hex nut. It's a tight fit, I didn't want this one popping out all the time. I think I'm going to use the printed knob to draw it into the hole and seat it. It should be pretty obvious where this part goes and how to finish it up. It didn't turn out too bad, and this is one I use all the time to be honest. It kind of gives an extra degree of freedom on top of the single pivot point too. Let's try it with the GoPro tripod adapter, hashtag not printed. Yeah, these are just run-of-the-mill GoPro knockoffs. I ain't rich. Now look at that, it only took 2 tries. Well, the first one wasn't a complete dud either though. It's fixable. The next one is something I made but haven't really used much. Well, I guess I haven't used it at all. But it does have potential. Yeah, sorry about the black filament. Here, is this better? Any guesses yet? It's a clamp-on shoe adapter. I guess it's called a cold shoe? If I'm wrong, let me know. Here's an example of something that works with it, and I guess the piece I had in mind when making it. It's my Boya MM1 microphone. It just slides into the side here and the check nut screws down to hold it in place. Simplest print ever. Let's see what it looks like with the other bracket from earlier. This would be for a situation where I'd need anything that has a shoe mount to be attached to my phone. It just snaps on. I'm starting to feel like a professional now. Obviously this thing needs to be plugged in. Yes, I still have a real audio port on my phone. If you haven't noticed, it's pretty dated. But I think for the new phones, the mic would just adapt into the charged USB port, so similar concept anyways. This thing's starting to look pretty wicked, almost like it was planned this way. These next ones you've probably seen before if you've watched other videos on my channel. Pretty much upload videos of all the things I'm up to in the print world. It kind of hinders the speed that I can get new designs out, but my hopes are that at least one person finds something helpful from all this. Any guesses yet? For all the videos I post on YouTube, I also upload the models to Thingiverse and Printables. So if you see something you like, just go download it. Back to the content. It might be obvious what they are at this point. They're extensions for the GoPro stuff. Here again is a shorty tripod. These things allow me to get the camera up just a little bit higher. Obviously a GoPro can mount on the top, but I'm going to use a cell phone adapter from earlier. The shorty extends a few inches already, and can be used as a tripod as well as a selfie stick. So this one just gives a little bit of extra distance for the narrow field of view from my phone if using it for selfies. But I generally use it for the tall time lapses with lots of layers, so I can keep the top-down view showing the part profile and cool infills. I made a couple of different lengths of these extensions. I never really know what I'm going to be into next, so having these available has really helped me out with having multiple options right on hand. This feels a little bit extreme and impractical, but they do stack together to have all sorts of length combinations. And even adding to the flexibility with more degrees of freedom from the joints. So here's the main stage. It's awesome, isn't it? And here's the bracket I mount the camera, if you will, onto it. This cell phone bracket looks a little different. It's a nice clean extruded profile print. It's made to snap in place with the tripod bracket I came across. It has a quick cam action mount that pivots in to hold the camera through what I'm sure is a special camera mount. So let me know in the comments if you think any of these are silly, or if they'd work for you in any way, or perhaps inspires you to design and make your own brackets for whatever you need. I made one of these that works with my GoPro too. I guess just to be silly and drag this video even longer, here it is adapting to the GoPro mount, then to the cell phone mount. It's a pretty versatile set of brackets and stuff. Don't think I can't hear you screaming at me though. You're wondering why I didn't make the snap-in phone clamp with a GoPro adapter tabs as a one-piece print, right? And why are all your models shown with a white background? They're blinding! Well, here's a new background. Maybe I'll have to design in cooler places for the future. The answer to the clamp tabs is print orientation. If I oriented the tabs with no overhang, the rest of the profile would have been out of whack. And if I oriented it with the main profile to print well, the tabs would have needed supports to come out right.